Oh, hold on a minute. Did somebody say tax revolt? Because I gotta tell you, don't threaten me with a good time. But seriously, really, look at this. It appears tax revolt is trending. And before the pearl clutchers freak out, let's ask the most basic question imaginable. What are we paying taxes for? Where does the money go? Oh, wait, that's where it goes. Fraud. Not roads, not schools, not veterans. Fraud. We pay taxes to destroy civilization. It's a humiliation ritual. You work, they tax, they debase the money, they tax again, then they light it on fire and tell you to clap.
First of all, the government doesn't have any money. Only people have money. The government only gets money by putting its hand in your pocket and taking it out.
If you think this is just one story, Minnesota, aka Big Trouble in Little Somalia, this thing is nationwide. Citizen journalists are unwinding a fraud network that the government knew about for 7 years. Your grandparents paid taxes their whole lives. And that money went to empty buildings with daycare signs taped to the windows. And it's insane. This all started with a 23-year-old YouTuber doing the job the DOJ and FBI refused to do. What a time to be alive.
Okay, I'm about to rant about the fucking IRS, if you can imagine that right now. They sent me a bill saying amount you owed was $15,617. Interest, $2,000. Failure to pay penalty, $1,359. Total, $18,992. Okay, with that being said, first off, it's made out to me. I'm not going to show you all my information, but it has my wife's social security number on it. If you think I'm going to pay this to y'all or even file my taxes this year, you're stupid. I am so sick of our government taking our money. They tax us on every hour we work. They tax us on gas, food, everything we buy, property tax, everything. It is ridiculous. So, what you boys fixing to do is I'm going to go ahead and have my lawyer look over this. I'm not paying this shit. If you want to come find me and put me in jail, good luck. I'm not going to with this. I am so sick of being taxed upon taxed upon taxed upon taxed. Okay? It's ridiculous. Our government has failed us, and we're not doing shit about it. We're not doing a thing about it. We're letting it happen. We've got to come together and take care of this shit, okay? I am vivid right now, dude. I can't even think straight. I'm so mad about this. Okay, out of nowhere, all of a sudden I owe $19,000 to the IRS. Well, my message to the IRS is this. You.
Man, I almost got anger tears watching that earlier, and I know you felt it too. They tax every hour we work, gas, food, property, everything. And here's the punchline. The IRS can't even answer the phone. They can't help the people they're stealing from. Americans are deciding to not pay anymore because the corruption is no longer deniable. And here's the real question nobody wants to ask. What happens if everyone just stops? What are the feds gonna do? Because I got news for you. If people are mad about daycare fraud, just wait until they understand inflation.
1981 through 2019, something like that. You take that quantity of monetary inflation, how many US dollars were counterfeited in a year, you divide it by the average hourly or the average annual wage rate, and then you can determine how many human hours or human years were stolen through currency counterfeiting. And so when you actually run the numbers, it was staggering. It was the Fed had basically stolen. You could check my piece on this. It's been a while since I wrote it. But I think it was 23.5 billion human hours stolen per year for 40 years straight, which came out to like almost 1 trillion human hours stolen in the course of 40 years, which was equivalent to operating a slave force of 11 million people full-time for 40 years, something crazy like that. Now, those numbers all sound belligerent. And it's like, what do you mean? The Fed's enslaving people? It's like, well, not necessarily. It's not whips and chains and, putting people in the fields like we would traditionally associate it with, say, the antebellum South. But because it's less visible and because almost no one understands it and everyone thinks inflation's part of a normal and healthy economy, you can do this at a much larger scale, right? You can use inflation to steal human time. And really, the energy component, you could roll right into this too. Because when you're stealing human time, what are we doing with time is we are expending our metabolic energy at work, creating things. So you're stealing human life force, basically, through inflation.
This awakening, this anger, it's not random. It's not going away. And when you combine this with the next money print coming at us like a freight train, it tells me one thing. 2026 is the year Bitcoin goes ballistic. Not because of charts, not because of ETFs, because people demand an exit. We got a massive show today. Time to throw down.
The income tax is unnecessary. Again, something happened in the 20th century where the American people decided that there would be...
The 16th Amendment happened, yeah.
Something happened where we have changed our attitude about what we want from our government. We've ushered in this overwhelming runaway welfare state that we cannot afford. And we've also become an American empire where we have troops around the world and we pay for the defense of Japan and Germany and everybody else. But at the same time, you had to have two ways of financing this. One we decided we'd have an income tax that we would start subtly and small, that would escalate to the point that it really is the biggest ripoff in the country, along with a Federal Reserve System that allows us to monetize
that happened
debt.
65 years ago.
Well, I know, but since 65 years, we have seen the deterioration of this society that we love. I mean, the Libertarian Society is no longer with us because of these ideas.
Yeah, but in 1922, the top tax was 70%. Right now, it's 28%. So how can you say that we have gone down a slippery slope where we're getting worse and worse?
Because the amount of tax coming out of the economy is still much greater. The amount of tax the government takes is over 40%. You know, when the founding fathers got sick and tired of the British taxing us, they had a tax of about 25%. The American people are rather complacent to put up with this. But more important...
Before you run away with that figure, let's remind our audience that in the first place it's not 40%, it's 39%. And the second place, 16 of that is by the individual states and localities. The federal tax is too high, but it's under 23%.
What did the indentured serf, what was he required to pay his master? 25%. And so we are a bit, we have enslaved ourselves. Not only are we enslaved through the tax system, but we're enslaved because we keep all the records. If we don't keep the right records, can you imagine this tax simplification bill that just came out? And if we don't learn those forms and do it right, we have a gun pointed at our head by the IRS and say, you're going to be put in prison if you don't learn to fill out those forms. How many times did they have to go through the...
Ron Paul was never wrong. He was just ahead of the curve. Welfare state, warfare state, endless taxation, central banking. He laid the foundation for this awakening we're all witnessing right now. And meanwhile, are you feeling the burn? 'Cause Bernie says tax the rich. Why? To fund more daycares? More wars? More NGOs? More corruption? I don't know, maybe read the room, Bernie. Statism is over. I'll tell you what we actually need. In the Fed, abolish the income tax. Because there's nothing federal about the Fed, and they don't even have reserves.
Someone could ask, well, so if the government can print unlimited amounts of money out of thin air, why did they collect taxes? I mean, in theory, it would make sense, right? If they can print unlimited amounts of money, why would they need taxes for? The answer is simple, but it's very shocking. The real problem is that you pay high taxes only to uphold the illusion that you are funding the government, which you are not. It's shocking, but it's true. The government is funded by money printing, paper backed with paper, a bubble that will inevitably burst. The situation is even worse than it seems, because if most Americans and the rest of the world were to become aware of this farce, confidence in your currency would be lost, the dollar would fall, and the Western civilization with it.
If they can print the money, why do we pay taxes? Exactly! So how did banks get the power to print money on behalf of the US government? You're not ready for this story. But you're about to be anyways, thanks to this banger from Burn the Fed. Roll it!
In 1910, 6 of the most powerful men in the world held a meeting. This included Senator Nelson Aldrich, Representative Abram Pyatt Andrew, Henry Davison, partner of J.P. Morgan, Benjamin Strong Jr., economist, Frank Vanderlip, president of the National City Bank of New York, and Paul Warburg, heir of a banking dynasty. This group of men secretly met at the Jekyll Island Club, an exclusive club for the elites. Members with big names like J.P. Morgan, William Vanderbilt, and William Rockefeller. During their time at Jekyll Island, they put together a plan to establish the Federal Reserve. This gave bankers the ability to print money on behalf of the U.S. government, and they weren't going to let anyone stop them. John Jacob Astor IV, his family founded the American Fur Company, and Benjamin Guggenheim made his fortune mining and melting metals. Isidor Straus was co-owner of Macy's with his brother. These 3 men opposed the plan for the Federal Reserve and were powerful enough to stop it. In 1912, they were to set sail on the White Star Line's newest ship, the Titanic. The White Star Line was owned by a parent company called the International Mercantile Marine Company, owned by J.P. Morgan. Morgan was supposed to be on the Titanic as well, but he canceled his trip. No one really knows why. Astor, Guggenheim, and Strauss all perished April 14, 1912. December 23, 1913, President Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act into law, giving bankers power over our money. Companies like J.P. Morgan Chase Bank own shares of the Federal Reserve. They know that loaning money to the government is profitable and safer because the loans are backed by taxpayers. The Federal Reserve aims to have a 2% inflation rate, which means they aim to steal 2% more of your money than they did the last time. And they will continue to print more and more until the ship starts to sink. This system creates a cycle where the purchasing power of your hard-earned dollars steadily erodes over time. Meanwhile, those at the top with large asset holdings see their wealth grow as inflation pushes up the value of their investments. The more money that gets pumped into the economy, the wider this gap becomes, leaving ordinary people struggling to keep up. It's a monetary system to secretly siphon the wealth out of a nation. Every time money's printed, it makes your life harder and their lives easier. Your money becomes worth less, and their assets become worth more. This is the answer you're looking for the next time you ask yourself, why is everything so expensive? The elites know a society based on debt will not stay above water forever. That's why they're all getting on the lifeboats while the rest of us drown in inflation.
Congress is silent because they built the largest racket on earth. NGOs, non-governmental organizations that exist solely to siphon your money back into political power. Taxpayer to politician, politician to NGO, consultant, then to the donation, rinse, repeat.
I guarantee you it goes from the American taxpayer's back pocket to the back pocket of politicians in Washington, D.C. And if it's either party, I don't care. They need to be exposed and they need to be out of office.
And why not talk about the Pentagon? 8 failed audits in a row, 4.65 trillion unaccounted for. If you failed one audit, you'd be in prison, but they want more money. And Representative Burchett said the quiet part out loud. People who follow the money end up not existing anymore.
You have a Pentagon that has billions of dollars that they hide. We don't ask for any accounting of. They never pass an audit in the history of audits. I've often said the only way we're really going to get to the bottom of this is somebody's going to walk out of one of these labs with this information and puts it out on the internet before they commit suicide by shooting themselves in the back of the head 5 times.
I mean, it's kind of a valid question. How often has that happened? How often indeed? All right. Now, let's slow down for a minute because this next part is the heart of today's show. Now, let's check out this article from the legend, Marty Bent. And the title alone says everything. Taxation is a humiliation ritual. Let me read this to you because this is one of those pieces that hits harder when you hear it. Work hard to get paid in a currency that is continually debased. Pay exorbitant taxes on those wages and watch them get handed to foreigners who were ushered in the country for votes that are used to tax you more.
Have you ever seen children at that daycare center right there?
Where?
Yeah, it's right there. It says the child, you've never seen daycare.
I haven't seen anybody in here.
We're gonna educate you on something. So what do you think about this daycare center? They spelt learning wrong. They've received over $1.9 million this year alone, and they're supposed to have 99 children here.
I don't see it.
Have you ever seen any children here?
None at all. None.
This year they got 1.9 million. Last year they got 1.5 million of your tax money for 99 children. We just want to know, where are the kids?
Right.
Where are the children?
I don't see them. I've been here since 2017. I haven't seen anybody like
Never
that here.
seen a child here.
No, not at all.
And so you've
8
never
years.
seen a child here for 8 years?
Nope, not at all.
And how does that make you feel knowing that this place is receiving $1.9 million?
Disgusting. I mean, what the hell? They stealing the money. That's a federal grant too. That's, if they get caught for that's a federal offense. I know. I studied law.
And do you think Tim Walz should go to jail for all the fraud that he's enabled here in his state?
That's him doing this? Well, heck yeah. He's got to be held accountable for this. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason what's going on here. It's simple. It's nothing there. It's a parking lot.
And look, they even spelled learning wrong on their sign for a place that's supposed to be educating children.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, who runs it? Who supposedly runs it?
Somalians.
Oh my God. Well, where? Yeah, it's just, I've never seen nobody here at all.
So how long have you been living here?
Since 2017, 2018.
You've never seen a single child walk in that building?
No, not at all.
So this daycare center is literally just a place to traffic money. $1.9 million just this year alone. And this guy's been living here for 8 years and has never seen a single child walk through those doors. There's no windows either.
No.
And
That didn't punch you in the chest. Check your pulse, because that's the whole game. Work, inflation, taxes, redistribution, more taxes. That's humiliation. This has been an objectively illuminating, enraging, and humiliating week for the American taxpayer. No exaggeration, that is exactly what this week was. A 23-year-old YouTube journalist by the name of Nick Shirley dropped an investigative report on the child daycare and medical transportation fraud taking place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. A 23-year-old YouTuber, not the FBI, not the DOJ, not the IRS, a kid with a camera. And here's the part that should make everyone furious. This exact fraud has been reported on multiple times since at least 2018. They knew. They always knew. We are told that paying taxes is our civic duty. Roads, healthcare, veteran services, the military, feel-good services. That's what they sell you. That's what they tell you. They're scammers. In reality, our tax dollars are being funneled to immigrants and the politicians who brought them in for votes via low-effort fraud schemes that are grotesquely offensive to every hardworking American. Grotesquely offensive. That's the phrase, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. We're talking tens of billions of dollars in one one state, and Minnesota isn't some economic powerhouse. And then Marty pivots. The California State Auditor just released a 92-page report showing $70 billion in taxpayer funds have been lost. Poof, gone.
California Congressman Kevin Kiley, he is sounding the alarm in his home state, saying under Governor Gavin Newsom's leadership, it has become the, quote, fraud capital of America.
And we have team coverage. Our national correspondent Alana Austin is on Capitol Hill with more on the investigations into Tim Walz. But we start with correspondent Heather Myers, who has more on what is going on in California. A rainy day out there on the West Coast. Heather, what can you tell us?
Well, good afternoon to you, Katrina and Andrew. This latest report was issued by the state auditor, and that's a nonpartisan position. That state auditor now puts 8 state agencies on the high-risk list of agencies to watch out for things like fraud and mismanagement as well as waste. Here's a look at that 92-page report. Newly added to the high-risk list is California's food stamp program. If the state doesn't get the improper payments under control, it could cost an extra $2.5 billion. Also on there is the Department of Finance, which was tasked with giving out COVID relief funds. Critics say $32 billion of that was taken by fraudsters. Then there are infrastructure issues like California's deteriorating dams and also the high-speed train that's already cost taxpayers $18 billion without a single section of track complete. Other reports cite $24 billion spent on the homeless issue that critics claim the state lost track of. More recently, there's a report that says California cell phone users paid a surcharge for years to upgrade the state's 911 system. Here's Congressman Kevin Kiley talking about what happened to that plan.
That after spending $650 million on that system, the state is totally scrapping it and starting over, completely wasted the money because the technology doesn't work. Mind you, we are very close to Silicon Valley in Sacramento, and yet the government can't figure out how to make basic technology perform.
$2.5 billion SNAP fraud, $24 billion on homelessness, $18 billion for high-speed rail. But there's no rail. There's no accountability. And what's the response? Well, it appears Gavin Newsom and the status controlling California now want a 5% wealth tax to fill the void. Of course they do. Because the solution to fraud is always more money for people committing it. When all is said and done, it is likely the American taxpayer has been pillaged for trillions upon trillions of dollars. Shout out to Bastiat and the plunderers. Read the law. You could read it in a couple hours. The best book maybe ever written all time. Trillions, not millions, not billions, trillions. And look around. Wages stagnant. Housing impossible. Families delayed or abandoned. Fertility collapsing. And people are starting to ask the questions they were never supposed to ask. Is America still the greatest country on earth anymore? That question alone would have been unthinkable 20 years ago. It doesn't seem like voting will fix this. We've reached the point where civil disobedience is required. That's the moment. That's when a system knows it has failed. The income tax was supposed to be limited and temporary in 1913. It's been 112 years. Temporary. Oh yeah, like flattening the curve. Something ineffective. Oh yeah, what was that other? Transitory. We need to take the control of the money out of the hands of the central banks and the governments. The case for Bitcoin has never been stronger. That's it. That's the solution. Taxation steals from you directly. Inflation steals from you quietly. Bitcoin shuts off both. So I'll go ahead and end it the same way Marty did. Do you like being humiliated? Yeah, me neither. Absolute banger. Shout out to Marty Bent. Now, let's bring this bad boy home today. But before we do, look at our likes!
3 or 4 times, maybe. I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Let's take a quick second for our sponsors who keep this show on the air over at the Bitcoin Way. If your wealth lives in their system, it's not yours, it's theirs. That's why we scream Bitcoin. That's why you self-custody. And that's why you call our friends over at the Bitcoin Way. They'll walk you through multi-sig, self-custody, privacy, how to run a node, and the tools that keep you sovereign when the fiat system pulls the plug. Don't wait till it's too late. Book a free 30-minute consult today using that link in the show notes. Need cash but don't want to sell your Bitcoin? Ledn is the global leader in Bitcoin-backed loans, issuing over $9 billion in loans since 2018, and they were the first to offer proof of reserves. With Ledn, you get custody loans, no credit checks, no monthly payments, and more. Visit learn.ledn.io/simply to learn more and get 25 basis points off your first loan. Ladies and gentlemen, taxation is literal theft. And now, to the man that taught you to end the Fed.
I firmly believe now that our day is coming. The conditions are such that there is room now for the defense of liberty. The people know that the system we have is not working. It's not working economically. It's not working monetarily. Our foreign policy is not working. And therefore, they're looking for answers. They will not welcome us with open arms. We've found that out. But there is a vacuum out there. And the vacuum is not in one political party. It is pervasive. It's throughout the country. It is throughout the political system. But our views are just as pervasive. Ideas spread. They can't stop them. An idea whose time has come cannot be stopped by any army or any government.
Can you feel it? It's almost like we have a date with destiny, my friends. There's no stopping this train. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let us know what you think down below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pamp by sharing the Sound Money Gospel, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Stay bullish, my friends. Our time is nigh. Love you guys. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, you.